So we're given some information about the US coffee market. First we're given the demand curve, Q is equal to 250 minus 10p. We're also told that the producers can harvest and ship coffee at a constant marginal cost of 8, and then the US distributors have a constant marginal cost of $2 per pound. So this is a competitive market, so that's going to be important when they're thinking about putting a tax of $2 per pound. So before the tariff, how much are consumers going to pay for a pound of coffee? Okay, so this is a competitive market, so whatever the price is, it's going to be equal to the marginal cost, right? So what are the marginal costs? Well, we're told them out right out. We're told that the producers have a constant cost of shipping and harvesting a pound of coffee of 8. So because it's told, because you're told it's a constant marginal cost of 8, you just stick that in. The other one isn't as clear that it's a marginal cost, but we're told they can distribute it for a constant $2 per pound. So per pound should make you think marginal. If I want to sell an extra pound of coffee, it's going to cost me 2. So that gives you straight off the bat, price is equal to 10. Okay. So the original price, we can just chalk it up here, it's going to be 10. What about quantity? Well, prices, that is 10. Quantity is equal to 250 minus 10 times 10. So quantity is equal to 150. Okay. So that's the pre-tax situation. What about the after-tax situation? So if they introduce this tax of 2, how much are consumers going to have to pay? Well, that's the same idea. Prices is equal to marginal cost. We still have the same. Marginal cost from before of 8 and 2, but now each extra unit costs pound of coffee costs the producers 2 in tax, so the price becomes 12. Okay, so the post-tax price is going to be 12. What about the quantity at this level? Well, Q is going to be equal to 250 minus 10 times 12, which is 130. Okay. So, say here. Okay. So next thing we want to know is what's the lost consumer surplus? Well, what is consumer surplus? Well, it's just the area above the demand curve. So we'll do this in red. So that was the original consumer surplus. We want to know what the lost consumer surplus is. So if the consumer surplus is the area above the equilibrium price and beneath the demand curve, that was the original consumer surplus. The new consumer surplus is just this area. So this whole area here must have been lost. So we have to calculate the area of this part and the area of this part. So what's the area of this part? Well, the area of that part is just the bottom, or one side times the other. It's a rectangle. So this distance is 2, and this distance is 130. So that gives us 260. What about the triangle? Well, the triangle's area is going to be half the base by the height. So half the base is a half of 10. Sorry, half of 20. The base is 20. You go from 130 to 150. Times the height, which is 2. So that gives us half of 20. So it gives us half of 40, which is 20. So the overall lost consumer surplus then is the area of the rectangle plus the area of the triangle, which is 260 plus 20, which is 280. Okay. So the rest of this question then is calculate the tax revenue. So what's the tax revenue? Let's call it little TR. Well, the tax revenue is equal to the tax per unit times the number of units. So the tax per unit was 2, and the unit sold under this tax is 130. So the little TR then is going to be equal to 100 or 260. Okay, so that's the tax revenue. And we want to know, is this tariff giving you a net gain or a net loss to the whole society, to society as a whole? Well, this is the gain, right? The government has got an extra €260. What about the loss? Well, we already worked out LCS, the lost consumer surplus, would be 280. The lost consumer surplus is is greater than the gain. So this tariff gives you, see society lose as a whole.